Pogostuck. Whether you've beaten it or not, it's got a reputation for being kind of a hard game. But there's one thing I've never asked myself before. Why was Pogostuck even made in the first place? So I messaged my good friend Superku and had a little chat. Allow me to tell you why Superku created the game of Pogostuck. When Superku was just a young game developer back in November of 2017, he was working on a platformer game when he noticed Getting Over It by Bennett Foddy being played on Twitch. Curious to try it out, he looked on Steam to try and buy it. However, Getting Over It was initially released as a Humble Bundle exclusive back in October and was only available for that month. The game wouldn't get its own solo release on Steam until December 6, 2017. So with no other options, Superku began to think about making his own version of the game, with the twist of adding multiplayer. And so, the tagline Rage with Your Friends was conceived. At first he sketched the Moonlander with another object attached via a rubber band type rope. However, he scrapped these early ideas. A few tries later, he came up with the image of a pogo stick, which immediately sparked ideas about how pogo stick movement would function in a 2D game. He quickly got to work and started coding. By the next day, he had a bare-bones version of the game running and even had multiplayer working as well. To be fair though, he did rip some aspects of the multiplayer functionality from a previous project. He used his old platforming game, and he also used this 3D Bomberman type game he made with rollback netcode. Superku promptly began playtesting the build with his game developer friends on their streams. But eventually, November ended, Getting Over It got its own Steam release, and Superku went back to working on his platformer. Superku would return to the raw Pogo build from time to time, but eventually he tried to shelve the project for good after spending a lot of time working on an in-engine level editor with custom geometry and a real-time bevel modifier. But there was one man who didn't give up on the idea. His name was Clonze. Clonze is the creator of Stream Avatars and an acquaintance of Superku's. He told Superku to go back to working on Pogostuck multiple times. However, Superku would open up the build and see the level editor issues and immediately lose all interest and motivation for the project. But when he saw a new Fadian appear on the Steam Marketplace titled Golfing Over It with Alvo Maho, he thought, that should have been my game. From here, he shifted to working on Pogostuck full-time. He put his platform on hold temporarily and sought out to dedicate at least 1 month of his time to Pogo, even though he knew it would take much more time than that. After half a year of working on Pogo, Superku was all in on this new game, but he always thought that eventually he would go back to his old platformer project. Even Superku's own father was questioning why he was putting all this time into a side project, and if it was the right call. On the Steam Marketplace, other attempts at creating more Getting Over It style games were releasing, but they lacked quality and didn't sell well. Even though Superku was 6 to 8 months deep into development, he knew the game wasn't anywhere near ready to be released. So after committing all this time into the project, Superku had finally crafted his first level sketch and hard committed to making the project work. Much of these elements seen here made it into the final level, with others being replaced with more noob-friendly objects like fruit. Just over a year later, on February 28, 2019, Superku released Pogostuck on Steam. He felt the game was finally at a high enough quality to be published to Steam after many months of hard work. It wasn't until after he released the game that he realized his old platformer project was not worth going back to. He let go of his sunk cost fallacy and moved on. It's been 4 years since the release of Pogostuck, and since then, the game's come a long way. There's 4 maps, countless extra modes, and alternative ways to play. There's even community-made custom maps now. So a big thank you to Superku for finishing this side project of his, because without him, the incredible community that came from this game would have never come together.